brutally honest. Ain't nothing but being brutally honest. Coming at you with another video.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our special guest, man. If your team is playing against his team, you better watch out because he's on TV. He's pointing on you. He's giving you fear. Let's welcome Violator, man. How's it going?
What's up, Chris? Thanks for inviting me on your show, man. Glad to sit here and chop it up with you a little football, especially with the upcoming season. I know there's a lot of questions floating around among both our fan bases. So let's just jump right into it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. What's been going on with Jimmy Garoppolo, man? There's just been a lot of physical going on. So what's your thoughts of it going on right now?
I think it will continue, honestly. We knew what we were getting when we signed him up. To the fans' demise, we don't have a say in it, but we've watched him closely. I even watched him at EIU, so I kind of know some of his history, and I think he was brought over because of familiarity. But at the end of the day, how many games will he last?
That's the question we all want to know. We've seen him play in San Francisco and New England also, so it's always been a durability issue. So it's like it's kind of tough, but I'm pretty sure things will work out itself. You just have to look for that capable backup. I'm sure there's this rookie you guys drafted from Purdue, Aiden O'Connell. How do you feel about this kid?
I haven't watched much tape on Aiden, but I heard him doing the pre-draft, commentation. Everybody was building him up, So I just kind of go with the quote-unquote experts, but the proof is in the pudding once this guy gets on the NFL field. College and NFL, two different leagues, trust me.
Two different leads, and I think the one draft pick that was my favorite out of all your guys' team was Michael Myers, man. That was the number one best tight end, and one team should have drafted him. The Cowboys had an opportunity, and what did they do? They reached for a D tackle when they should have got the best tight end in football. But, hey, for the Raiders, that's a huge win for you guys on that pick alone.
That was a huge move, especially losing, trading Waller and then losing Foster, So he definitely is a day one starter in my eyesight. We got two valuable backups also. So I think the tight end room is set. There'll be some other guys coming through. And then everybody's, of course, has to get through training camp. So all of this stuff right now is just on paper.
Yeah, it's on paper. And, you've been doing this type of passion for many years, but what made you influence into that mask and all the other style, bro? You had the face paint, but what came up with the name?
I'm going to tell you, Chris, to make a long story short, I was one of those weirdo kids that was into knights, armor, and swords. So, upon falling in love with the Raiders, I didn't even know, I had no clue that I would be even doing that until the time was. So I guess I grew into that character, but that attitude has always been with me. Being a smaller stature and a defensive guy, it was always never judge the guy's size, judge the heart. So Violator to me is just anything on the offensive side, I'm running over it.
Yeah, it has to be just you played on defense, but was 57 just the number you were born, or was it a football number?
Now, 57 has a unique story as far as the Violator is concerned. I started out with 55 because I used to love Matt Millen for all the historians. So when they traded Matt away, I got highly upset. I'll just say it. I was pissed off, almost in a depressed state. And then lo and behold, a friend that I'd watched play at UCLA, Jerry Robinson, came to us, and he had that number. So right then, I made an oath that I switched to 57, and I swore that I would never change that number. The character Violator would be known by that number 57.
Nice. That's kind of have a good story to it. So that player that you were talking about that you guys had from UCLA, so I guess Matt Millen was that favorite player, and then he left. I guess 55 was your original number. So I guess, in some ways, I had 54. 54 was one of the numbers I played in football. There was just a player I always liked watching. I guess you can say there was like a guy like Zach Thomas I watched, Brian Urlacher, Teddy Bruschi. Now it's Fred Warner wearing that 54 all of a sudden. So it's pretty cool. I just like that 54. You have that wrestler John Cena's number. Just something about that 54 just makes it so unique. That's why I have a customized with my number 54 on it.
Absolutely, man. And like you say, my love for linebackers is, I think, by now world known. That's the position I watch regardless of what teams, because those guys, everybody gives all the pub to the front and the back end, but most teams' yardage is made in the middle of the field. And if you have a weak linebacker core, brother, let me tell you, those are holes that me, for one, personally, I watched Phillip Rivers just annihilate us for years, hitting us right in that soft spot like that beer belly. He would just punch us right there, man, like kidney punches or liver punches. And right now, I'm questioning that linebacker room that we have coming into this season. There are some free agents out there that hopefully after June 1st, we will go and try to land a couple of those.
Yeah, I mean, that's always something you want to improve your defense the most. I think that's the most questionable mark for the Raiders is your defense. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo, if healthy, he can win you games, but that defense has to bail them out.
Yeah, if you can score with people, that's great. But if you can't stop anybody, you already know the end of that story. It's about taking takeaways and creating turnovers. And a lot of teams have gotten away from that. The more successful teams have those defenses that dictate that.
Yeah, I think defense is somewhat still important in today's football. It's just the rules have changed, just the hits, man. Like, it's gotten softer, but it's all about adjustments at the end of the day.
Yeah, you're right. Like the old adage, defense wins championships. The game is geared towards scoring, which enhances the quote-unquote entertainment value. So I get that. I don't like it as an old school fan, but I still have to get that same enjoyment that, us old school, fans love to see. The vicious hits and all that stuff. That's what gravitated us to our respective teams or the game as a whole. So to take that away is kind of like putting everybody in bubble wrap.
Oh, yeah. And it's might as well just put it like flag football in some ways. But, I mean, just like the quarterbacks complain too much. Now you can't even touch them at times. You got to not put your body weight on them or else it's a flag. It's pointless. But it's like, I don't know. It's like defense just seems – it's like you have to make the good adjustments or else your defense is going to cost you at some games at some point.
Actually, I look at it this way, Chris. The defensive guys almost are playing with one hand taped to their side, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's almost the way it is. It's basically, to me, and I'm just putting it out there, to me it looks like advanced 7-on-7 lead.
Seems like it. And like you said, it's like we put one hand on our back. I mean, it's just hard to like adjust on certain ways, but it just plays factor. And I guess they just want to see the offense score more. So that's probably what it is.
But see, then you've got half that audience, like myself, that loves to see a dominating defense, and they're handicapping the defense across the league and still trying to sell us that this is a fantastic product. No, you're putting half of a product on the field. And I know that's all the business side of it and the adjustments, but I just speak on it as the old school fans. When they stop hitting, damn it, just take the pads off and put flags on.
Oh, absolutely, man. It's just changed a lot. But speaking of something, what was your favorite Razor moment versus Broncos? I guess this is a Denver fan just asking your question about it.
I'm gonna say, wow, I've got so many, but the fan man game. Tell him Google that.
Fan man game.
Fan man game. Yeah, that was historic, man. Oh man, my screen just went black. I don't know what the hell. Anyway, we played them back to back. That we played in the last regular season game, and they were our first playoff, opponent. So it was rough on the sidelines and in the stands in the LA Coliseum. Let me tell you that.
Must have been pretty tough at the Coliseum just from that alone. But the Broncos, man, it's like it has a great rivalry between you guys play,
Oh, definitely so. Like I say, it's been because they've had some great teams. I really became aware of them when that Orange Crush, era was going on. They had some good guys. I met a few of them after retirement, but anything other than the silver and black, man, they were the enemy on game day, and that's just the way it was. It's still, to me, a gladiator sport outside of hockey, and to not let these guys really use all of the talents that they have been God gifted with it's almost sacrilegious to the game.
Absolutely. Hey, here's another interesting question. I think this is interesting in some ways because your owner, Mark Davis, Violator's thoughts on Mark Davis driving a Mini Cooper.
What? Not surprised at all. He kind of dances to his own music, and so I can't knock a guy for just being himself. Money is off the table. It's who you are as a person. If you can exude that, regardless of your status, your position, hey, I tip my hat to him.
I mean, that's something he does, so you got to let it be, I guess. But here's an interesting guy who probably wants to get you on the show at some point. Sam Dog, the infamous 253. He's interacted with you before in Facebook, right?
Probably.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Awesome Seahawks fan. Despite how we play each other twice a year, this guy's a cool dude. But he's a big fan of yours too.
Hey, appreciate it. That's what it's about, man. Making those relationships across the lines, as we call it, in the militia, across the lines. But that's where you can really enhance your own enjoyment of the game when you know people on the other side.
Yeah, you got to appreciate, admire them. You don't have to just hate on the person because they represent a team. I've always learned to respect. Yes. On game day, it's a different situation. But, hey, on the bright side, at least you have your own fan base coming into the comment section. We got your boy Raider Critique, man. He's already giving you the what's up on you, man. But
it's just family, man, and that's what we do, support each other. And a lot of fan bases don't really understand that. But it goes back a long way. And I always tell anybody that ends up with a conversation with me, it's when you pick these colors, there's a lot to come with it. And you have to be, people always say thick skin, but skin is what it is. You have to be mentally tough to handle it and still enjoy it as a fan.
Yeah, you do. You might get a little dish here and there, but it is what it is.
It's gonna happen, Chris. Here and there,
I get that with Cowboys fans a lot of times, man. A lot of Dallas fans, a lot of people I'm close to, man. A lot of the people, my family and friends who are Dallas fans, man. It's always been that way, man. It's always been the love and hate. When we play on game day, it's a different story, but it's all fun.
In all honesty, that gets your juices going, and I kind of admire that. My experiences doing this Violator for 32 years now. You get to know all these fans, and as we get older and wiser, you come to understand that it's just a fellowship. in the parking lots, if you're into all that stuff, that's the most critical part of the day for me, because you get to meet people that you'll be sitting across from cheering against. But for those 3 hours, it's about your team. Afterwards, we can meet and have a drink or whatever, have a cigar. Yeah. I'm all for that, because that's a true fellowship of NFL fans, NBA fans, MLB fans, whatever it is. That's the whole nature of it, is when you know somebody that you're rooting against, it makes you have more interest in the game. Put it that way.
That's right, man. Like, you're right about it, 100%. That's just how it is. It's just the vibe, Then once the game's over, it's all good. We can just chill, drink beer, watch other events. It is what it is. But we all got different tastes. But hey, man, your character, man, it has that WWE character, man. It's still legendary. For any other person that just doesn't get it, I think you're like one out of the 6 fans in the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah, I'm one of, I think it's 9 in there right now.
9?
And like I said, that was a blessing to me, man. It just a culmination of all those years of that commitment and the sacrifice that comes with it. But when you feel that drive in your heart, like I did as a kid, once I made my decision to move to California just to be closer to the team, a lot of stuff came with that, but I never wavered from that belief. And that's what I try to instill in people. If you believe in something that strongly, you will hit obstacles like everybody else, but it's how you deal with those that makes that true character of who you are as a person.
Yeah, I mean, that's dedication, and whether they like it or not, I mean, dude, more power to you. I mean, Sam Dog has an interesting question. I'm pretty sure you've been to all 3 cities for the Raiders, right?
Yes, I have. And it's been quite the adventure. Like I say, with every city, there's different scenarios, different stories. But Oakland, to me, had that historic history. That's why I was baptized at 12 years old with that love. And I remember the first game there, man. It was just like walking on hallowed ground, or visiting the pyramids in Egypt or something. That's the way I felt as a fan. And every day, man, I still conjure up that same emotion, man. That's why I say in my longer elder years now, the wisdom starts to kick in. But like I say, that fire is what it is. And like I told you before we came on, game day is just that. It's therapy for me. It kind of balances my whole existence, but with a purpose.
Yeah, the energy, it's just 3 hours of just having fun and enjoy the experience, it's like, I don't condone a lot of other fan base fighting each other, man. It's just, what's the point? Let's all enjoy the game. Let's just all have fun, even though we might chit-chat here and there. But, man, like, these people just get out of line.
Well, my experiences is I've seen that happen when people lose that one word that you mentioned earlier, respect. Because,
exactly.
Trash talking is the biggest part of the game is the pigskin itself. And I can trash talk with the best of them, even though I'm not so much into that. I save my energy for when it's needed. And as long as you respect each other, and people use every excuse, I was, overindulging or whatever it is, that's a part of you that you don't have control of. So if the overindulging is the issue, then you don't need to do it, or find some alternative way of getting yourself ready, because that's not the way to do it.
Exactly. Most other fans, they need to be able to experience the game, but you're just going to have those moments. I've seen a lot of fights, especially I've seen a lot of fights from your fan base against my fan base, just from that alone. I just don't understand it, but it's just a hated rivalry, crosstown rivalry. It's just that hate, that it's kind of like that, that rivalry. It just has that northern and southern type of gang rivalry, just that love and hate. But how do you feel about this rivalry, just this fan base rivalry, like in your perspective?
Chris, when Raiders first moved back to Oakland, that's when I really started to get a hands-on education of what that really was. I would meet people that worked on the other side, on the 49ers side of the Bay, and I would see them at BART changing clothes. And I just, me being curious, and I just went up and I would talk to them. That's all I do. I like to meet people and just see what their stories or what their visions of their journey is in life. So these few people that I asked, they were saying, well, that's where I work, but I can't really fly my colors there. And, my jaw dropped, of course, like, what are you talking about? That's when I found out how serious that whole thing was. But to take a quote from a friend of yours, a friend of mine who's a Niners fan, and I apologize for not remembering his name, but he told me something that I'll take to the grave. He says, you can hate the team, but don't hate the man. Now, if he's watching this show, he knows exactly when he told me that, and that will stick with me forever. It changed the way that I approach the game. I call myself an ambassador. No super fan, none of that other, whatever you want to call that. I'm not that. I'm just an ambassador. When I meet people, I'm intending to form a relationship, whether you're wearing red, green, yellow, pink, or blue. I could give a damn. It's about the person that I'm speaking with and what I can leave with them, and hopefully they can leave something with me to just enhance game day experience. That's where the fans come in, really, outside of the actual dollars that we spend.
Yeah, that's definitely a good quote out of it. Just you can hate the team, but just don't hate the human being. It's all good. Just know the limits, stay within the limits, and just know it's just a game. Most people just, I get it. People get emotional, get a little hurt, a little bit on their feelings, but you gotta learn to move on. That's just the point of it. But since my boy Sam Dog wants to get you on in the near future, man, he definitely wants to get you on. Maybe you should collab with this guy at some point down the road.
Well, just tell him, hey, put some contact stuff in the link, or you send it to me. You have mine. Send it to him. Have him contact me. We can see.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. Sam Dog, awesome guy. If you enjoy talking football with me, you're gonna love talking football with this guy.
That's what it's about right there, brother. And like I said, using your platform to put out positive seeds. I know that may sound kind of quirky to most people, but like you say, as emotional as we get over the games and over our team's wins and losses, at the end of the day, we got to lick our wounds and get ready for the next battle. That's the beauty of the season. We wait for it for 6 months, and then 6 months it vaporizes. It's there and gone. The next Super Bowl is there, the parade and all the hoopla, and then we're right back at draft day. It's like never ending. But for fans, we kind of get our emotions bottled up during the off season. Just like now, the anticipation and all the drama that's, the media keeps, putting out there. Some of these fans really start to lose it a bit. But like I say, I'm a little bit longer in the tooth now, so I learned to just restrain myself. I'm soaking in all the intel just like everybody else, but you have to put it in certain places and let it marinate. Some things we have no control over. You'll hear me speak on that. I don't waste a whole lot of time.
Yeah, that's facts right there. You said it like it is. Like, we just during football season, it could be off season or even through social media. They just have a lot to say. But, I try to save my energy for something else. Most of the time, even when football season is off, I'll just look to interview some draft prospects on my free time and just get to know who they are and then see whether my team drafts them or not. That's the beautiful thing about it. Is like I take the time to see what they are and see how I like them and see what they can improve on. And that's what's so beautiful during the offseason. There's more content if you want to put more into it.
Absolutely, man. And see, you talking about the layers of the onion now. Most people just stay on the surface. They never scratch below level 2 or 3 maybe. But deep down, when when you get to know players, they're people just like us. They have families, and I've heard, and I'm guilty of saying some stuff that I regret. But as you grow, when you know better, do better. And I just respect any athlete that has made it to that pinnacle, because that was my dream as a child also. So what I'm doing now is like being as close to the game. You can still smell the grass, but you're just on the other side of the fence. So I just wreak havoc over there.
Oh yeah, but it must be like, so what's the difference from going from the Oakland Coliseum to the LA Coliseum in Las Vegas, like by experience?
Wow. Ooh, night and day. That's my short answer.
Night and day.
It's truly, and I'm just being honest about it. It's a cultural difference, and you being familiar with us from being in the Bay Area, you know what I'm saying. And all of those on here know what I'm saying. It's a cultural difference, and there's almost a resistance to, I guess, what you call the macabre, or we have this reputation, we're going to come in and tear up the city. No, we're just passionate fans, just like anybody else. But to try to run away from the image that kind of sustained the organization during those bottom of the well seasons, it's not going to happen, because we're like that redheaded stepchild. We come with the marriage.
Yeah, I mean, different environment. I mean, it has to be like a different type of atmosphere just from there. I could just go for the difference with Candlestick Park, which was one of the best vibes, but Levi, it's kind of not the same,
Yeah.
just by experience. Still the same Bay Area, but getting a chance to experience different stadiums, I like to see a lot of different atmosphere. Just for other fans, I just want to at least explore away games and try to get a better perspective. But, I've never been down to Vegas, like to that stadium, so I've heard a lot of good stuff about it.
The stadium is like, to me, and I'm biased, of course, but to me as a fan, and I was so proud of Oakland Coliseum. As old as it was like our little pit. It was like I say, I still look at the game as a gladiator sport. So when they came out of that tunnel right there by me, it was like the gladiators running out to go to war. I still look at the game that way. The X's and O's hasn't changed. It's just all the philosophical views of the game has changed for business purposes. And so Vegas's stadium, Allegiant, is a work of art, man. I kind of can go out on a limb and say I don't think another stadium will ever have that look. And you know what I'm saying? Everybody said it was the Roomba, I call it the mothership, but it's a beautiful work of art inside and out. They didn't miss a beat. Just the atmosphere inside is different, because you've got an influx of new fans who, from my conversations, a lot of them hadn't ever really visited Oakland a lot or at all. And that surprised me. And so they feel like Vegas is like a safe haven, so to speak, a destination, if you will, a vacation spot. So you've got families that's coming from all over the country, all over the world, as a matter of fact, that's bringing their kids to experience Raiders football. And it's strange, but I get it. But it's like, listen, I guess they want us to kind of, quote unquote, tone it down, but that's not what that shield represents to me. We're pirates, basically. And, the genius of Val Davis, rest his soul, that shield was not by accident. That was the image that he felt in his heart. When I got baptized as a 12-year-old, that shield was just like, okay, that's something I can be a part of, and I'm going to put everything into it. All the old sayings that we used to have, commitment to excellence, seek and destroy, take no prisoners. I bought into it, lock, stock, and barrel, man. And to this day, that still runs inside of me.
Yeah, you got to buy into it. You got to dedicate it, just like how most fans feel, there's just that vibe, the atmosphere.
Yeah.
There's a difference, but I get accustomed to Levi's, because it's more comfortable for me. But, going into like Candlestick Park, it was just a far different vibe. Just like you said, like the old stadiums just has some meaning to it. Like how you were saying the Oakland Coliseum was like your pit of the whatever, which is kind of like how they say it's like your stinky toilet, but it's still like something you still go with, that's something that we roll with Candlestick Park. That was like our thing, but they just want to upgrade a lot of stuff. But Super Bowl is coming into Las Vegas, so that's got to be the most interesting one of the year, right?
That's going to be a doozy, and I'm not going to make any kind of predictions.
Oh, no.
Who's that? Whatever two teams are in it, my plan is to be in that city for that entire week, enjoying the festivities.
Oh, yeah. We're not even going with prediction. I'm just going by the way it's going in because this Super Bowl is coming to Vegas, and last year they had a Pro Bowl in Vegas, so it had to be pretty fun.
I had the pleasure of going to, I think, the first one in Allegiant. I didn't go this past one, but that was an experience, and it kind of showed me the difference in the way the league is going or the game itself is going. It's, they're catering to the younger fans, of course, but there's just a difference in the intensity of the Pro Bowls that I remember. And I guess, like I say, the game is just, the quote unquote, the game is just softer now. Injuries still happen now, but the game itself, the way it's micromanaged, to me, makes it so soft that it's like, okay, you want these guys to score. And I'm sure the betting has something to do with a lot of that. So
it could be.
Those are things that fans can't control.
I mean, it could be because, like you said, it has something to do with the betting system, which I don't know if it's true or false, but there's a lot of that playing a factor. But I just don't find the Pro Bowl as entertaining as it used to be. Like the last time I watched the Pro Bowl was when Sean Taylor laid the hit on the punter. That was probably the only last time I've ever seen the Pro Bowl. I don't even tune in for the Pro Bowl. It's like, what am I watching? Flag football or the Olympics or something?
Absolutely. And mentioning Sean Taylor, the late Sean Taylor, man.
Yeah.
Guys like that is just, they get your juices going. Like I say, the offense could be scoring 90 points, but if you don't see any hits on the defensive side or any spectacular plays, you're old enough to remember when they sold all that as VHS tapes, greatest hits and all that stuff. It's like, where has society gone where you have to pretend that doesn't exist? It's still an integral part of the game, but that's not what they really want to showcase. But there's half of the fans who love that. It's like we talked about wrestling. Why would you go to a wrestling match and nobody flips or nobody comes off the top rope? What are we having here? A picnic in the ring?
Yeah, like what is it like? Watching old school wrestling, you get to appreciate a lot of these legends, these guys that put everything on the line. But you see a lot of these guys doing some flips here and there, and you get entertained by those type of moves. But the way how wrestling was, man, it was just a lot of politics into it. There's a lot of factors, but it's just changed by how they pick favorites. They pick a lot of favorites.
Yes, and who controls the narrative? Remember that.
Yeah, the narratives. But it's just, we can go on about this, man. But a lot of stuff just plays into the factor. It's gotten softer, and there's just people lose interest out of it. But just because the game of football has changed over the years, it doesn't mean I'm changing the way I feel as a fan. I'm still watching the game, whether it's, I don't even care if it's flag football at this point. I'm still gonna represent it, because they're just doing whatever they can to protect the quarterbacks and everything. But what about the defense? You're handicapping us. You're putting on, you're tying up on the back of the arm. Like there's no. It's an unfair situation. Like it can be a bang bang play where they're making a hit. Like, what do you expect from these players? So it's gotten softer over the years. Like you won't see hits like that anymore with the likes of Jack Tatum and Ronnie Lott laying people out. They get fines or probably be kicked out of the league by then.
And that's the part that you can see the players adjusting. They don't want to, get fined, 15 grand or, for one play that's deemed, use my word, deemed unnecessary. You're in a violent sport. And that's, when they go through the draft, they want these big guys, these fast guys, these freaks of nature, but then they don't let them perform. It's almost like, what do you want here? But like I say, it's in the interest of entertainment. And I guess us old schoolers just have to get whatever pleasure we can from it. And that's what I try to do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. Just, it is what it is, what goes on, but, long as the defense adjusts on certain ways, there's always different ways. They always try to change the rules based by a certain player. We've seen a lot of rules change over the years. They had this rule called the Mel Blount rule back then, which kind of made it more easy for the receivers. And then there are certain hits that were outlawed because of guys like Jack Tatum would just, he had hits where he kind of killed somebody, but he was just one of those guys, one of those old school players that just wanted to hurt somebody.
Just played hard, man.
Played hard, yeah.
And that was a lot of where our reputation came from as being a team that played dirty. Well, they were coached to play hard and play until the whistle, not stop. So, there's a lot of stuff that, man, a lot of the youngsters, I try to school them on as far as stories, because you can only Google so much stuff. But to give them actual life experiences and stories that's been passed to me and shared with me, that's where you really get a real feeling of what the whole mystique behind the team was.
Oh, yeah. It's just a lot of this generation, they don't understand how old school was played, like the eras. I had to learn a lot of the history. A lot of guys back in the days, back then when statistics didn't count as stats, you had old school players like Cedric Harmon, who was just right on the back of the wall. His sack stats were, I think he would probably had the most sacks in Niners history, but they didn't count those statistics.
Right. So like I say, it's with all of the analytics that's involved in the game now, it amazes me, man, that anything really gets done. It's almost like you can overthink the perfect recipe and screw it up. Sometimes you have to just let things play out on the field. Like I love using that phrase, everything looks good on paper, but the game is played on that grass.
Yeah.
And when everybody straps it up, when preseason is over, you got that 53 man. That's the most exciting day to me. Who made the squad? Who's on your practice squad? Because usually that's the guys that you pulling from as your other players fall. So,
yeah,
like I say, man, it's just a blast to be a part of it for as long as I have, man. And I'm looking forward to hopefully us getting another Lombardi, man, while I can, still get around and enjoy it. So that's my biggest wish as a fan.
That's all we can wish for, man. Just one of these days, one of our teams gets that Lombardi trophy and just have something. It's been a long time since you guys won a Super Bowl. Was when you guys were the LA Raiders. So right. It's been so long. Like, what is it? Almost 40. 40 years, right? 40 years. That's a long time.
Long time, brother.
And the last time you guys made a Super Bowl appearances was in 2002 when you guys had Rich Gannon. Rich Gannon was playing at a high level, and you guys had Lincoln Kennedy, who I'm in the talks with on the show down the road. But
good friend, good dude, man.
Yeah, seems like a really nice guy. And a lot of guys, it's just you get a chance to know all these people, and you just understand what the game meant to them, and a lot of them just tell you like it is.
That's the beauty of it right there. And Lincoln is one of those cats. I love the conversation I've had with him over the years, man. I just looked at them all like my younger brothers, not aging myself, but, that era and that mindset that those guys had was still a little bit of the old school. Now there's, like, say, the new age players. And I don't know if they're more interested in getting to fellowship with the fans like the old guard used to do. that was just part of it. We were like extended family, but we're not treated that way right now. I don't know. And like I say, I guess the fans in their mind probably ruined some of that, but I feel like a kind of a standoffish about it. I think nowadays the fans, when they get to meet these guys and really see the other side of them outside of their job, they would appreciate them, like you just said, for the game itself. It gives a little bit more verification of what's going on and why certain things happen. So I encourage any young fan, if you're really down with your team, learn the history of your team and of the league.
Yeah, you got to do a lot of due diligence. And whenever I interview my team's players from the past years, I always have to do the work, look at what they've done in the past. And it's always good to learn a lot of new history, especially Willie Harper, who I interviewed probably like a few days ago. He gave me some knowledge. And, you just pick the brains and you get to learn more about what you didn't know about your team then. So.
But here's the thing. They love telling those stories because that's kind of probably the only way that they can really share with like a fan base, so to speak, without being at a post-game conference or something that's controlled. They have a little bit more freedom to really talk like we're talking right now. And can't wait to meet you in person. So hopefully you make that preseason game. I'd love to meet you.
Hopefully, man. Hopefully, preseason game. I don't know. Is it in Vegas, right?
Yes, it is.
Man, it's just the schedule is kind of like a bummer, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to put it on my bucket list. If we ever get down to Levi's, I'll make sure to put it on the list, man. We got to catch up at Levi or Vegas, whatever it is, man. I got to meet you at some point. But for anybody else, man, it's just a game, The Violator just said it best, but we look at him as Wayne as a human being, bro. This guy is a passionate fan, and, he's done it all. You got to have respect for those guys that paved the way for fandom. This guy, I think he's one of the like if they had a Mount Rushmore for top NFL fans, I'd put you above the rest, no doubt.
I appreciate that, brother. But like I say, I'm just an ambassador. My thing is to leave something with you, regardless of who your allegiance is to. I want you to know what pumps in here and how you can relate that to your own team.
Yeah, exactly. And for everybody else, man, me and the Violator are going to head on out. But for everybody else, thank you guys for checking it out. And for Violator, tell everybody where they can find your social media platform.
Instagram, I'm at Mabry Wayne. Twitter, at Violator57. Facebook, Wayne Mabry 57. Twitter, I think I said that, Twitter. But those are the main three. But like I say, get a hold of me and have your guy get a hold of me by coming on his show. And thanks for having me on. Thanks to your audience for their questions. And like I say, keep using your platform, man, to educate, inform, and inspire.
Oh, exactly. And thank you for your time, bro. It's fun. It's got to be a